So for the past 7 years, I have designed board games under the name Party Hat Games. And I came up with this name and the logo and everything in a class I was taking back in 2015 about branding. In that class, we had to come up with a company and make up a logo, a mission statement, color scheme, and all those things. So I took that opportunity to make up my board game design company. At that time, it wasn't an actual company. I didn't have a business license. I wasn't incorporated, but I set myself up to eventually do those things. I remember going over a lot of different options, and I ultimately chose Party Hat Games because I love the little logo that I made for it. And also I love the idea of my board game design company having the word party in it because I primarily designed party games or games that you could bring to a party and have a lot of fun at. But I have since evolved from that. Having the word party in my board game design company's name doesn't necessarily mean I can't then design other types of games. But when you have the word party in your company's name, I was feeling a little bit, I guess, pigeonholed, just wanting to make sure I wasn't restricting myself in any way. I also realized that having the name Party Hat Games, my name isn't anywhere in there. So people might know me, Pam, and they might know Party Hat Games, but they might not know that those are the same thing. So because of all of this, I have decided to rename my board game design company Pam Walls Game Design. This will put my name front and center and also won't have any reference to any specific genre of game. So there are going to be some changes. This channel's name will change to Pam Walls Game Design, as will all of my social media channels and my website too. So I thought I would share with you the brand guidelines that I came up with back in 2015 for Party Hat Games because I'm proud of it and it's kind of cool to look at it now. And then I'm also going to show you how I made my new logo for Pam Walls Game Design using Google Draw. Okay, so I'm going to show you the brand guidelines that I made back in 2015. So this was the cover, and this was my mission statement, and then here are the do's for the logo and the different ways it could be displayed. With the word mark, without the word mark. If it's on a colored background, then it would be in a white circle. And then these are all the don'ts. Don't rotate the logo, don't skew the logo, don't put it directly onto a different colored background. Make sure there's always the white circle behind it. And then avoid putting it on colors that will really clash with the logo. And don't put any other visual elements too close to the logo. The color scheme. I love this seafoam green. So it was the green, purple was a supplementary color, as well as a light gray, but it was mainly the seafoam green and the white. Then there's the typeface. So I chose this font, and I believe I got it from Font Squirrel, the website Font Squirrel. It's a really great website if you're looking for awesome fonts, and they're usually free. So I used the font Action Man, as well as Avenir. So it was a nice contrast between the sort of handwritten style and then a very crisp, nice one down here with Avenir. And then there's an imagery section, so what sort of photos to use and illustrations to use with the different promotional materials. And then I mocked up business cards and letterhead. So here are these business cards, and I actually did get these business cards made. They're fairly close to what I mocked up. I just took off the confetti from the background because I found it was just a bit too busy. I do have quite a few of these left, but oh well. I didn't get the letterhead made, but I did get some buttons made. And then I mocked up a folder as well. This looks really cool. And it had like the business card in there and the confetti going across the middle. I didn't get this made though. Advertising. So here I mocked up some fake ads. And so you have the vintage photo, and then you say all this party needs is a party hat. And then I just found some games that already exist and put them in as like a placeholder for where one of my games would be eventually. And it's just cool that now I do have published games, and I could actually put my own game in that advertisement, and that's pretty cool. So in 2015, I didn't have any games published, so I just found some games that already existed, put them in my ad, and visualized that one day I would have my own game to put in there, and now I do, which is pretty cool. This party needs a party hat with Wits and Wagers. Darling, I think you need a party hat with Balderdash there. And this is a billboard. So if I had a spare few $1,000s around and I wanted to make my own billboard, I could. And I just put my logo on people's heads here. You can notice that it is rotated, which goes against my brand guidelines, but whatever. Here's a bus stop advertisement, and I mocked up my website, and now my website currently does look like this. So I did make that. I did make that an actual thing. That branding will be changing. When you're watching this video, it may have already changed to my new Pam Walls game design branding. And then my e-newsletter mock-up, and my emails do look like this, so that's cool. Conferences, oh, this is if I had a booth at a conference, this is what some banners could look like. And this is pretty cool. If I had my own booth at a convention, I could have a little cover for the table, a backdrop with all of the games that I've made one day. All right, and that was that. So now I thought I would show you how I made my new logo using Google Draw. So I have previously used InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, but now I just use free products that I can use from Google. So I use Google Docs, I use Google Draw. Those are the main programs that I use to keep track of all of my games and also prototype my games and also design things like logos. Illustrator and those other programs are definitely more powerful, but you can really do a lot in Google Draw as well. So here is the logo that I made in Google Draw. You can see it's version 11, so I did go through a few iterations till I got to this. Let me do a brand new document and I can recreate this from scratch. So we'll go File, New, Drawing. And whenever you do a new drawing, it's usually in some sort of not very helpful shape. So if I go File, Page Setup, what is it? Oh, it's a 4x3. So it could be helpful, I don't know. But I want this to be square. So you just click down on the drop down, and so they have a few options. They have 4x3, 16x9, 16x10. We go custom, and then you can make it whatever you want, but do make it fairly big, because if you make it teeny tiny, and then you try and stretch it out bigger afterwards, it might look a bit pixelated. But the way that we're doing it, it shouldn't actually matter. But anyway, you can just do 10x10 to make it a square, and you go apply, and now it's a square. And you definitely want to do the page setup before you do anything else. At least for me, whenever I add elements to it and then I change the page setup, it stretches everything out. So I always do that first. And now I'm just gonna add the white background to it. You don't necessarily need the white background. If you were to download it as a PNG file, it would have a transparent background, and then you could put it on whenever you want. But just so we can clearly see what it would look like on a white background, I will be adding that here. So I just go to the shape button, I click the shape, down to the shape section, and I just click on the square. And my cursor turns into this little plus sign. I'm gonna go up to the top left corner. I'm going to click and hold down and drag all the way down to the other corner. And we'll let go. And the default color is this blue. So we're gonna go up to the fill color button here. We'll click that and we'll go to white. And it always adds this black border default as well. I'm sure you can change the default somewhere, but I'm too lazy to figure that out right now. So you just click on the shape and you click on the border color, click on that, and you just go transparent. So that removes the black border. Let's add the words at the bottom. So I recently learned that if you use, here we'll go insert, if you use word art, it will add letters that are actually shapes. So rather than adding a text box and then you type in the words, if you go to word art, it'll add the words as if they're shapes. And so now, without getting too technical about it, if you're only working with shapes and you download the file and then you use it for different things afterwards, it will look a lot crisper and it won't be pixelated than if you were to use just text in a text box. If everything is shapes, you're working with shapes, it'll look a lot cleaner. So we're gonna go to word art. And then my top line, we're gonna go caps, we'll go Pam Walls, so that's the first line. And then the default font is Arial. So this one, I believe, was Roboto Medium. Okay, and then they do the blue fill, of course, so we're gonna go black. And I don't want a border to it, so that's that. So here's a very important thing. If you click on the word art that you just added, and if you go to the top left corner, and if you click and drag, you can resize it. You can resize it to whatever you want, like that. But that's terrible. Why would you do that? That's completely messing up the typeface. You want to stay true to the typeface. You don't want to skew it at all. So if you don't know already, go Command Z to undo that. Command Z or Command Z is your friend. You can use that all the time to super quick undo things, or you go Edit, Undo, and there's the Command Z right there. So we want to resize this because it's too big, but we want to keep the ratio of the typeface true. So we're going to click, but we're going to click the Shift button at the same time. So I'm clicking in the top left corner, I'm moving it, but I'm holding down Shift. And now you can see that I can't do whatever I want. It's staying with the correct ratio. So I'm making it slightly smaller while holding the Shift button. So that's pretty close. And they do have these guidelines. You can see that red line showed up there. So if I move it there, I can see that that is centered with that red guideline showing up there. So if I let go, I know that this shape is centered right there. So we'll just leave it right there. And we're going to add another word art, whoops, for game design. So we go up to the font section and we go Quicksand Light. And we make the fill black and we get rid of the border because the font was not made with a border in mind, so we're taking that off. So it's the true font as it's meant to be. Now, if you want to resize both of the, well, okay, so I'll make it centered, good. And then we're going to select both of these to resize both of them because I think they're both slightly too big. So if I just click and highlight, click and hold to highlight both of those elements, it did also highlight our white background. So if I click Shift and then click again, it unselects the background. You can't always go click that, Shift, click that. Now both of those things are selected. And then we're just going to the top left corner. We're clicking and dragging, holding Shift to make them slightly smaller. I think that's fairly close to what I have in my logo. And then you just hold it till it's centered. Now we'll add the actual logo part. So we're going to add a circle. So we go to Shape, we find the circle here. And then we're going to click and drag and we're going to hold Shift. You see how when I started holding Shift, it turned into a true circle. If I let go, it can be an oval, it can be, you know, anything. So I want to hold Shift to make sure that it stays a circle. And then we're going to move it and we're going to make it slightly bigger, holding down Shift and centered, and that's pretty good. So now I do want a border on this shape. So I'm going to click on the border here. Oh wait, no, right next to it, the border weight button. And I think it's around 4. Oh no, maybe it's around 8. Sure. And then the background is a light gray. I think it's around that one. Okay, and now we're gonna add the die. So we go to the shapes, we go down to this cube here, select that, and then we're clicking and we're holding Shift, and that's pretty close. Centered, those guidelines are very helpful. Now we're going to rotate it slightly so it looks like it's being, the die is being rolled. So if you see this little anchor point here, if you just hover over the top of it, the cursor changes and then you click and then you can hold and you can rotate it however you want. And it shows you the angle you're changing it to. And if you hold Shift, then it changes it at exact increments. But if you don't hold Shift, you can change it to whatever you want. So I think it's around there. Sure, looks good. And we want to change the fill to white. Now I also got rid of the black border here because I just felt it looked too boxy. So let's go to border and let's go transparent. Okay. Now we want to add, oh wait, I think I have this actually flipped. I think I have it like that, right? Let's double check. Yes. Okay, so this is right. This is how I had it. And let me make it slightly bigger. Okay, so now we're going to add the little black dots, the little pips on the side of the die. So let's go to shapes and we'll go to circle. And this side, I believe I had 2. So here I don't want to hold down the shift button because I do want to make them skewed so that they look like they're on the side. So around there, and now this shortcut is super important. I use it all the time. Command Option plus sign to zoom in. Command Option plus, Command Option plus, Command Option minus, Command Option minus. So I'm constantly going in and out, in and out, in and out. And that shortcut is very helpful. So let's get zoomed in here so we can see what we're doing. So of course there's that blue. Someone please let me know how to change this default. It's very annoying. But anyway, changing this to black, whatever, we can leave the border, I don't really care. And we're going to rotate it so that it is in line. So, okay, I'm gonna go back to this cube for a second here, and I'm going to add the border back in just for a second. So it can make it slightly easier for us to align this in with the same direction as the die. So if I move this next to this line, let's get closer. You can see that it is at the same angle. So that's good. So we'll just leave that there. Let's get out. Whoops. Okay. So that looks all right. Now we're gonna go Command C, Command V. So that's copy and paste real quick. Zooming in, then we're gonna click in the middle of the shape. You can move it if you click the middle. If you click on the side or you click on the corners or the sides, any of those dots, you're gonna change the shape. Go Command Z to get out of that. So click in the middle of the shape or hover in the middle of the shape and then click it. And then we'll go down in the bottom corner here. I'm gonna make this slightly smaller because it is in the distance. Going to the top left corner, holding shift, and then just making it slightly smaller. I'm gonna move this in a little bit because I feel like they're kind of a bit too much in the corners. Let's look at our finished logo to see how it compares. Oh, so you can see that the pips are quite bigger on the actual logo, so we'll make them look larger here. Oops, that's way too big. Okay. How does that look compared to that? That's close enough. We can make this one slightly wider. Okay, good enough. So now we're going to add the one on the bottom. So we're going to select one here, going to go Command C, Command V. Let's bring it on down here. Gonna click on this little anchor point here to rotate. Gonna get closer. And we're gonna move it up to this line and we're going to rotate it to where they're at the same angle. That's pretty close. Oops. Close enough. Okay, move that on the bottom. Cool. Now I'm going to add the PWGD on the front of the die. So this was also word art. So we can go insert word art, P, and then we can go Command C, Command V, and double click into it to change that to a V. Oh, sorry, W. And we'll do the same thing. Double click, G, Command C, Command V, double click, D. All right, so we got all of our letters. I'm going to select all of them, so I'm holding down Shift, click, click, click. They're all selected. Now let's change the fill to black. I'm going to get rid of the border. Okay, I'm going to resize all of them at the same time so there's all the same size. I'm going to the top left corner, clicking, holding down Shift, and you can move them all together. When they're all selected too, you can move them all together. I'm going to go a little bit smaller. That's pretty close. Sure. Now, let's move the P. Actually, we should maybe rotate all. Well, let's move them kind of to their general areas. No, these are way too big still. Okay, select, select, select. Oh wait, this is all Arial still. That's why it looks weird. Okay, we want Roboto. Roboto medium. Yes. Now make these smaller. Smaller. Cool. Slightly bigger. Okay, let's get zoomed in here. I'm just going to double check what I have them set to on the actual logo. Yeah, so it is Roboto medium. Okay. All right, so, whoops. Let's rotate all of these so that they're at the right angle. So holding down Shift, selecting them all, and rotating all of them so that they are the right angle with the, yeah, it looks pretty good. That W lines up there. The P lines up there. Good enough. All right, out of there. So now we're going to set them up here. We got the P there. We got the W. We got the G. We got the D. These are still too big. Selecting all of these. We can group these too if we want to. I'll show you how to do that. So I selected all of these. If I want to make these a group, so I don't have to select each of them individually each time, I right click and I go group. You can also do the shortcut Command Option G. So if I do that, now I click away. Now if I click anywhere, any of them, it selects all of them. So now that they're a group, I can resize all of them at the same time. It will get a bit annoying because I'm going to be positioning them all individually, but that's fine. All you have to do then is just double click on one. Whoops. And now you just are moving that one. It's still grouped with the others. You can see there's still that frame connecting all of them, but you can now move it just on its own, selecting just the P, selecting just the W, just the G, just the D. These are too far apart. They need to come in, come in, come in. Yeah, I think another way that I did the guidelines is I went, so yeah, I added the line, but see that when I go over this cube here, you see these purple dots here? Those are exactly in the middle. So that's very helpful. So I went from purple dot to purple dot. I changed it to red just to be clear it's a guideline. And then I added another from here to there. And then I just made sure that these letters were the same distance to that center. For this example, I'm not gonna do it like perfectly, but you get the idea, that's close enough. And then if you don't want to delete these, you want to save these later just to make sure, in case you need them again, you can select both by holding down Shift, selecting both. And this is probably good to group these, so Command Option G. Now these are a group. And then you can just click and hold Shift, move them off of the image. And now they're just off to the side. So if you do want to bring them back just to make sure everything's lined up, you can do that. Now let's get rid of our border lines here. So I clicked on the die and clicked on the border or on the line color, or sorry, border color. And I'm going to click transparent. Okay, so there you go. That's pretty darn close. And so now I see that this is not centered on the square. So I am going to select everything, hold Shift and unselect that background. And I'm just gonna move it down. And now you see those two red lines showed up to show me that my selection is centered. So we'll leave that there. That's pretty darn close to my final, well, this background is darker and the line is thicker. So let's just do that because I'm a perfectionist. There we go. There we go. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. And what, that took like 20 minutes? Not too bad. Yeah, so then when you want to download this, you just go File, Download, and then I would suggest downloading it either as a PNG or SVG for the highest quality image. And for my purposes, like for my social media icons and everything, I would just want the die. I don't want the words. So what I would do is just get rid of the words, and I would get rid of the circle, and I would change the background to that same gray, and I would make the die much larger. And now I would just download this. Just download this, and then that is what would be my social media icon. This is what will be my social media icon. So when I upload it, it will add, it will add the circle on Instagram or Twitter, whatever, and then you'll just see that die. Yeah, so I hope that was kind of interesting for you. If you enjoy learning more about how to use Google Draw to make logos, I will still make a video for how to use Google Draw to make cell sheets. But hopefully this was a good introduction of how to use Google Draw. The main difference between using this for a logo and using it for a cell sheet is that when you do that very first step of page setup, just change the size of the document to 8.5 inches by 11. But that's it for now. I hope you like my new logo. I love Party Hack Games and everything I made with it, absolutely, but it is time for a new chapter. So if you enjoyed this video, or if it was helpful to you at all, I hope that you like and subscribe. And now go watch my video, Board Game Cell Sheets Explained, and I'll see you over there.